Certainly a legendary figure in the world of rock and roll. We are transitioning now into a talk with Jonathan Bird, who is an underwater filmmaker and is going to be doing an event here at the Tennessee Aquarium. First of all, Jonathan, good morning. Glad to have you joining us.
Thanks for having me.
As a young man, did you ever have the desire, thinking about Tina Turner, to film her underwater? No, I'm just kidding.
As a young
mind.
man, I didn't film underwater yet. But, you know, Tina Turner crossed a lot of different types of musics.
Without doubt.
And she really brought a lot of people into different styles because she crossed so many.
And such an inspiration for untold artists from her point forward, even up until just last week. You were an underwater filmmaker by trade. What a unique and really cool thing to be able to do for a living. Tell me how what you're doing, underwater filming, and what you're doing at the Tennessee Aquarium.
So I make underwater films for a living, which is kind of crazy. And a few years ago, I did my first IMAX film. It was called Ancient Caves, and it's actually also going to open at the Tennessee Aquarium's IMAX Theater in a couple months. But after that, the next film I did was Secrets of the Sea. And this is a classic underwater animal behavior film that is really fascinating.
How is this different from the other underwater projects you've done?
Well, IMAX is its own thing. The screen is so big. And
6 stories.
And it's in 3D.
Yeah.
And when you're that close to such a big screen and it's in 3D, it is incredibly lifelike. It's just like you're sitting on the reef looking at that fish the way I was. In fact, I often see things when I watch the film in an IMAX theater that I didn't see when I was filming it. Because when I'm filming it, I'm looking at a monitor that's like this big and I can hardly see anything.
And that brings to point something Tom mentioned earlier today. When you're doing these underwater filming projects, you are underwater. You're not looking at the dailies that are brought up each hour or two by somebody who's down there doing the hard work. You're down there doing it yourself.
Yeah, and you have to have a little bit of faith that what you're getting is in focus and is gonna clean up and look pretty good when you're done. So, yeah.
And unless you have any diving experience, a lot of people don't realize the incredible pressure just physically you're under when you're at depth down here. Secrets of the Sea was how far down underwater?
Well, it was filmed at depths from barely below the surface to as much as 200 feet deep.
Wow.
So it was shot all over the world. And one of the sequences, the blue whale sequence, which is probably the sequence that people won't appreciate how hard it was to get, that sequence actually took about 10 years to get.
Wow.
Because blue whales are super uncooperative animals.
They don't take stage direction well, do they?
Amazingly uncooperative animals.
What is the takeaway message from this? Is this your most, it's an unfair question, but it sounds like this is the project to date you are most proud of.
This film, first of all, it was a collaborative effort with my co-director, Howard Hall. And the interesting thing about Howard and Michelle Hall are a filmmaking team that inspired me to become an underwater filmmaker. It was their film, Shadows in a Desert Sea, that I saw on PBS in 1992 that made me want to do this. And so to get to work with them on this film 30 years later was a dream come true.
Yeah.
And so that's the first thing. And Howard is a brilliant, brilliant cinematographer. And so it made me raise my game, you know what I mean, to be working on a film with him. And we had this idea to do a movie that was different from the typical underwater film where it's all fish eat fish and shark eats fish and everything's eating everything. Because if you go on 100 scuba dives, you'll almost never see natural predation.
Yeah.
Which isn't to say that fish don't eat other fish, but that's not what you see. You see cooperation and symbiosis, and this is a whole film about how animals help each other out.
We've only got a minute or so left. Tell me the particulars about the event at the Aquarium, Secrets of the Sea, and the event itself is going to be today at the Aquarium. It'll start at 5:30 this afternoon. Tickets are still available.
Yes, there are still a few.
You're going to be answering some questions from those who attend, correct?
Going to do a little intro, going to do a Q&A. You know, it's not too often that you get to see the film with the director, so come on down.
Well, I hope you and Howard have some future projects that at least you're discussing, and I hope you'll keep us posted on them right here. It's been a great honor to meet you, and I look forward to seeing Secrets of the Sea. Tennessee Aquarium, check it out. Aqua, TNAQUA.org. We'll get you in touch and get you tickets, all right? Stick around. We'll be back with more of Let's Chat right after this.